how to photograph boring landscapes, and more importantly, how to turn boring landscapes into great landscape photographs. Well, welcome back to the channel, guys. Hopefully you can tell where I am, or you've got a rough idea where I am. I'm actually at a place called Chesil Beach in Dorset. Now in my last video, hopefully it came out, in my last video I was just a few miles down the road at a place called Portland Bill, which offered loads of opportunities. But I'm actually staying here on a family holiday just a few miles down the road, and I thought I can't really come to the Chesil Beach and not actually photograph it. The only problem is there's nothing here. There's just pebbles and a lot else. So what I'm going to try and go for tonight is some really quite good minimalistic photographs, maybe just some objects against these pebbles using the contrast of texture, maybe using the great sort of expanses of spaces that we've got to try and actually give that feeling of distance and emptiness in the landscape. As you can probably hear though, there's quite a few people walking about. It is a very popular spot, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out with the photography tonight and the videography. I'm actually quite self-conscious about talking loudly in front of the camera, which I need to do so you guys can hear me. Now I'm hoping I've actually found my first composition. But like I say, tonight's going to be a lot of trial and error really, and some of the pictures you'll get to see, some of the pictures you won't. So I'm going to set up this first one now, and with a bit of luck, if it works out, I'll show you what it is and talk you through why I'm doing and what I'm trying to do. Now I found this piece of Portland stone which has been heavily marked by the weather and the waves, so it's got lots of holes and texture to it. And I've also got these pebbles on the beach as well, which are looking really good. Now the sun's directly in front of me, so I'm shooting into the sun, which is going to create some challenges. But I just like the way that I've got this sheen of light over the pebbles and then this slightly overcast background in sky as well. And I think I can make it into some really simple colours, because all we've got in this picture are these pebbles, the stone and the sky. So it's going to be really quite interesting. Now I'm down quite close to the ground in front of me. I'm going to keep quite a bit of that foreground in there. So I think I'm going to focus stack as well. But before I take any images, I'm going to have to move you guys because you're actually in the frame at the moment. So I'm going to bring you around behind me. This is proving a little bit more difficult to take than I actually expected. And the reason for that, because the cloud bank that I was using as a bit of cover has just actually moved. So now I've got a lot of light coming down on the camera. It's not actually causing me a lens flare problem, which I'm pleased about. But what I have got now is a huge contrast range between the foreground and between the sky itself. So I'm going to do my focus bracketing, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus down here on the foreground. I'm going to focus on the rock that I'm actually photographing, and I'm also going to focus on the background. But when I photograph the sky, I'm going to do a number of exposure brackets there as well. And then in post-editing, when I put the stack together, I'll pick the sky out which looks the best, and I'll blend that sky into the final picture at the same time. And hopefully that way we'll get around these exposure problems. I've got high hopes for this image. It's very simple, but I actually like it on the back of the frame. So let's take these pictures. So I'm going to focus now. Here we are, focusing just down on the bottom of the frame down here. And that's my first picture taken. Now I'm actually underexposing these as well, so that I haven't got such a big contrast range in the stack to deal with. So that gives me a bit better chance of blending it all together successfully. So there's the one on the rock. We're now focusing on the background. I'm going to focus on the sky itself. And now we're going to bracket on the sky. So there's a stop under, 2 stops under, 3 stops under, and the 4 stops under, and we'll see how that goes. Successful photography has so much to do with managing your own expectations. When I started editing the photographs from this shoot, I was disappointed. I expected so much more, but that was never realistic. Looking at the photographs again, I am pleased with the results. They do justice to the scene. This photograph does capture the essence of emptiness and the expanse of the pebble beach. Well, I was a bit wrong really when I said there was absolutely nothing here to photograph. There's lots of stuff. There's about 500 fishermen behind you, but apart from that, I've come across this fantastic part of the beach, and it really gives me an opportunity to show what I mean by this sort of feeling of space and nothingness. Now I'm using this area which is cordoned off to actually lead your eye into the picture. And along the edge of here, mapped out an area with some boards, and these boards are great because they're picking up on the sun. They're sort of like sun bleach, sun wash sort of timber planks or something, and of course they're snaking across the top of the pebbles themselves, and that's given us a great leading line. I might even do this as a black and white image. I haven't decided yet. But what I have got here is this lovely sort of feeling of space. So I've done it in the vertical format, and your eye's taking you into the picture. Now I'm not sure in the final crop whether I'm going to crop it, leave it as it is, as it's shot, or if I'm going to take a little bit off the bottom, a little bit off the top, and that way it'll be sort of like a 5:4 traditional sort of landscape composition. I'll just have to see how that goes. But I'm really quite pleased with what I'm getting from this picture. It's working really, really well. The lighting conditions tonight are really trying me quite hard. That's why you've seen me putting my hand in front of the lens a little bit just to shield it. And when I put my hand completely in front of the lens in between each exposure, the reason I was doing that is because I'm focus stacking again as well. I'm shooting at f11, which is the absolute best aperture I think for this lens. But because I'm pointing the camera down slightly and I want to make sure I pick up all the texture in these pebbles, I've actually been focus stacking again. So I've taken some at the bottom of the frame, something mid-frame, and something again in the far distance, and that's just making sure that I've got that front to back sharpness. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do a black and white version of this or a colour. Like I said, I've got this feeling it's going to be one of those pictures where I like both types of it, and I may even decide to show you both in the final image. But of course you're going to see that in the next few seconds. I'm not going to see it until about 4 or 5 days time when I get back to my office, when I can process what I've been shooting this week. Now there's some other pictures which I might take using these planks walking through, because I can see something behind me that might be good. There's also another potential composition behind me that I might want to use as well, but I want to get myself into a position in a minute for when the sun gets a bit lower, just to see if I can pick up some colours in those skies, because there is another image I've got in mind. It may work, it may not, but the way the sky is building up at the moment on the horizon, I'm not really that hopeful. But if we get a sunrise shot, stick around to the end, because you might get something else. Otherwise you're going to get more of these board wall type pictures and some more minimalist type images from the Chesil Beach itself. Okay, so time to pack up here and get on to the next area. Out of all the photographs I've taken, this one shows the great expanse of Chesil Beach extending for miles and fading into the hazy distance. I like the contrast in textures between the boards and pebbles which draw your eye into the scene. The 5x4 rather than a native 3x2 crop gives the image greater presence. So I wasn't sure whether I was going to actually vlog this part of the video or not, or just show you the finished image. But I've basically found this plant that's growing directly out of the pebbles, and you wouldn't imagine anything would live here, but there's actually some grasses and stuff growing. That it's just a phenomenal place, really. Anyway, I've just managed to take some photographs of it, but I'm going to take some more. I took these at ISO 100. And they've come out at about sort of like 1/4 of a second, because the sun's getting reasonably low now. It's just about to go behind a bank of cloud, so I'm not holding much hope for my sunset picture, but you never know. But anyway, I thought I'd take this one, and the concern that I've got is that because the sun's getting a little bit low and the light levels are dropping, and I'm still shooting at f11 to get a reasonable depth of field, I'm starting to get some movement in that plant itself, and it's moving a little bit in the breeze. Now it's only ever so slightly, but it could just be enough to affect the shutter speed. So I'm going to bracket shutter speed effectively, but I'm not going to do it by just changing it under and overexposing. I'm going to increase the ISO. So I'm going to take some at ISO 200, 400, I may go to 800, I don't know, but I'll put the details up on the screen on the final image for you anyway. So I'm going to take this one now, just a little bit more about the composition. With just the plant in it on its own, it looked a little bit too base, a little bit too simple, like there was nothing there at all in the background. I think if I had a bit more side lighting and the pebbles and the shingles in the back were a little bit more sort of interesting themselves, that may have been worth taking it. But I've included a little bit of greenery, some grasses which are growing as well on a bank behind it. So that's in the top sort of left-hand corner of the frame, which gives it a little bit of a diagonal stance to the composition, and possibly a little bit more interest just to hold people's eyes. But it really is just about the colour of these rustic orange browns against these pebbles. Having said that, there's some great textures as well, and it may even work as a monochrome image. So I'm going to take these at ISO 200, 400, 800. I'll put the finished picture up on the frame for you so you can see it. This is a true photographer's picture. Only a landscape photographer or a complete loon would shoot a boring plant on a pebble beach and love it. It could be my favourite photograph of the shoot, and I can't exactly say why. I'm wondering if I should have taken a higher viewpoint, then the tops of the plant wouldn't cut through the boundary in the layers of the pebbles. Or do they connect those layers together? So I'm back at the car. Unfortunately, I didn't get that final sunset picture that I was hoping to get. I set it up, I did take a few pictures, but you know, the sun just went behind a dark cloud bank, nothing lit up, and I would have been really disappointed with the results, so I've just left it and not bothered. But I am really pleased that I came out tonight. I've had a fantastic evening's photography. I hope you guys have enjoyed looking at the pictures. Now, I wanted to get out this year and do some more coastal photography, and for various reasons, mainly because my photography's been so busy. I haven't been able to do that, but tonight and a couple of days ago I managed to get down to here in Dorset and shoot Portland Bill in the last video. If you haven't seen it, maybe you want to check that one out, and shoot tonight here at Chesil Beach as well. So that's 2 videos, I don't know, 7 or 8 photographs taken, which I'm really pleased with down on the coast. So it's really good. If you enjoyed tonight's video, then please give it a thumbs up. If you want to find out more about me and my photography, then please subscribe to the channel and find out everything I've got to offer. I'm also on social media, so please comment, make contact with me. Most of all, get out there and enjoy your photography, and I'll see you in the next video.